the insanity abounds. Not here. We're not insane, but out there, all the stuff. I mean, before we even came down to the studio, we've talked for the last, I don't know, close to an hour about the insanity in the world. Any one of which, the topics we ran down could have been a hot take. Like just hot takes. Hot take. What is a hot take? A hot take is a thing that you see or you hear about, and it pops into your head, and you immediately have an opinion on it. And there has never been any greater access to an audience than there is right now. So regardless of how many followers you have or, whatever, you might be on 11 platforms as it is these days with Facebook and X and Threads and Instagram and TikTok, and there's probably 9 other ones that I don't know about.
It's YouTube and YouTube Music,
which
YouTube
we're a part Music. Of. We're on YouTube Music. The podcast is. I guess I knew, but I didn't really know until the other day. I saw it on there, and I was like, "Oh, holy smokes! Check us out." But yeah, you could reach without a big following on any one single platform. You can end up reaching a bunch of people with your hot take, which often equates to an uninformed take. And if we didn't learn anything else from COVID, we know that people say a lot of crazy things that they don't actually have facts to back up. And that's the hang up with the hot take, right? Is that it's not always based in anything. And we're going to get into some examples because that's fun. That's what we're going to do is talk about how all these hot takes went wrong. I thought about going and just scrolling my feeds on various platforms and going, well, this take was bad or that one was stupid or whatever. But like, I'm going to get away from flaming individuals so much, I guess, and just look at the takes in general. We'll go. Let's go with this big one that we were just talking about right before we hit the go button. The WNBA. So what we're watching, I think, with the WNBA is the redefining of the hot take in real time, or at least a scenario that we have to look at and take seriously and go, well, maybe my hot take is not so hot and I should just stick it back in my pocket, because there's this thing going on where Sophie Cunningham, who is a favorite, I can't believe I'm talking about WNBA basketball. Sophie Cunningham she's a crowd favorite at this point. Not the greatest basketball player in the world. She's not bad in terms of women's basketball players, but she opened her mouth and said that men don't belong in women's sports. And there've been protests at her games. People are buying tickets that hate her guts to go see her play, so they can show up with their hot take sign at her game and tell her what a pig she is or whatever. And this is what we're getting at. We're protesting people by putting money in their pockets. Nobody has ever watched the WNBA. In the last couple of years, you get Caitlin Clark, and she creates this phenomenon that, as it turns out, is pretty isolated to her team. Caitlin Clark's selling out all these games, or the WNBA, they say, is selling out all these games. They sold out a game in Atlanta. They sold out one in Detroit.
No, it's the Indiana Fever.
Yeah, who are they looking at? They're playing against the Fever that night. But these select few women have drummed up more attention than the league has been able to build on its own in the last, what have they been around, 20 years? Subsidized by the NBA the entire time. But this girl, this female, this woman who plays sports says men shouldn't be playing against women in sports, and all these other women are attacking her now. Some of them literally physically attacking her. No, men belong in women. Wait a minute. What are we doing? So we've got 2 former NBA basketball players now, grown men with, NBA statistics and careers and things that are going, hey, I think I'm a woman now and I'm going to sign up for the WNBA. And those dudes, they've got to draft them. They have to. You can't pass it. What's the guy's name? Embiid, Freedom. What's his? I forget his whole name.
Something like that. Something Freedom.
Yeah. And there was a second guy,
Royce White.
And I'd heard of Mr. Freedom before, but I never heard of Royce White. Maybe he was like a middle of the road NBA, but I don't know. That's a hot take.
It doesn't matter. He's still going to dominate.
The worst NBA player is going to go to the WNBA and average a triple-triple.
Here's a fun fact. Along the lines of sports, wasn't it a middle school boys soccer team that beat the
Throttled
the
women's
like
15
soccer
to nothing.
team? Team USA's women's soccer team got beat by a bunch of middle school boys.
Best female soccer team in the world.
What are we going to do when you have a bona fide NBA level caliber player?
You know, LeBron James is getting to the end of his run. But LeBron James
could run for another 20 years.
She could go in the WNBA where she would average 96 points a night and as many rebounds as she wanted. But these guys are doing this now, and they're throwing this back in their faces, and they're going, hey, well, if we're going to let women in, I'm a woman, or if we're going to, whatever, we'll just do it that way. If we're okay with this, if we're good with it, so maybe now Sophie's hot take that men don't belong in women's sports is not so hot, right? Because the hot take that it's okay for women who are trans to be in women's sports was the hot take all along. Men don't belong in women's sports is the informed take. It's the tried and true take. It's the reason we have women's sports. As the dad of a female competitor, especially in a combat sport, like there's a difference, right? When my daughter was younger and she's competing, when she's 12, 13, 14 started to get dicey, but they ask you when you sign up for these tournaments, these local tournaments, would you be okay competing in a different age class or a different skill level or against males or females, depending on which one you were, for the sake of having matches, because sometimes it's tough to fill out a bracket depending on how big you are, how old you are, whatever. And we were okay with that for a while, and then it got to the point where the boys were just you weigh in for this event, and the 135-pound boy was just stronger than her. Even if he wasn't as good at jiu-jitsu, he was just stronger because boys just are stronger. They just are, as a rule. That's not me. Like, I didn't make that up just now. If you don't believe me, if you're a woman out there and you're mad about this, go arm wrestle a dude. Like, just let me know, or try to get the top off the ketchup bottle or whatever it is. But it's a thing, right? We know that. We've known it forever. So it turns out the hot take was it's okay for these women who are actually men to compete. But that's backfiring now, and they have a tendency to do that, these insane hot takes that people pop out with as soon as something happens. It's going to be the biggest thing ever, right? And then turns out it's not, and it would have been better if you had just waited a little while.
Oh, speaking of one of those, NFTs.
That was one when I was searching. That
is the future of all currency and everything.
Are we still doing NFTs? Anybody?
I believe it has crashed.
Yeah. Well, what was an NFT? I mean,
nobody really knows what an NFT
is not clearly defined.
Token.
Like, I got these glasses, and now they're an NFT. What it seemed like to me was, like I say, these are an NFT, and you can buy this NFT, and you'll own it. But these glasses will sit right here on this desk where we do this podcast, and I'll just show them to you every episode, and you can be like, I own that NFT. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's my 30,000 foot, understanding of what an NFT was.
But, on the flip side of hot takes, what was it? We just talked about him, our bald-headed friend, Jeff Bezos, in the beginning of Amazon.
Yeah.
That you will never make $1. You'll never make a profit.
My dude was selling books out of his garage.
Turns out I can order groceries to the compound from Amazon right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, shocker. Amazon runs the world?
Man.
Hot take. You're never going to make money.
Because of Amazon, if you work from home, and there's all sorts of ways to do that these days. If you work from home because of Amazon, because of Prime, whatever, you never have to leave the house now. You don't ever have to leave your house. You're never forced to leave your house. You don't have to go to the grocery store. If you don't care how long your hair gets, you don't have to go to the barber. You don't have to go buy tires for your car because you're never going. You don't have to own a car. You don't have to go anywhere. But if you do care how long your hair gets, you can just order some clippers on Amazon, and they'll send them to you, and you can just shave your head I used to shave my head every Thursday. It was just what I did. But you just don't have to. You can just order things, groceries, clothes. What kind of clothes do you need if you never have to leave the house? Holy smokes. But the hot take originally was that guy's not going anywhere.
No. Amazon's here to stay.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere now. It's here, not like not going anywhere, but it's with us. It is one of us. I don't know, man. It's a wild world that we live in. That assumes there's anything left of your paycheck after hot take, after the government takes too much of it. Rips us off. That was another conversation we were having before we sat down here tonight.
Yeah. We're not fans of Uncle Sam.
We are not. Holy smokes,
Which
man.
That's not a hot take. Turns out there's a lot of people who don't like paying Uncle Sam.
Well, the hot take, I guess, in that is that taxation is theft, right? That's the slogan, the things that people say. But that's one that's true. and it's held up now, and people are having to look at it and go, well, maybe that's right. But the people in charge don't care. Because I think once you get there, you feel like you're just going to be there forever. And I saw how much you made, and you can afford this, regardless of the fact that you earned the money, and it's just yours, and they shouldn't be taking it from you. We spit a couple of hot takes out in our last episode that I've gotten some feedback on. What? I
Holy Moses, that's my bad.
I mean, it was going to come up sooner or later.
It's still not a hot take for me.
It's right, but it's out there, right? And it's people going, hey, women shouldn't be voting. Well, I heard on the way over here, on the drive to the compound, I was listening to a podcast, and this lady's on there, and she's like, yeah, we don't have any business voting. Like, holy smokes. So it's not just us. You're throwing rocks at us or whatever out there and your torches and pitchforks. But that's the hot take, right? The crazy thing that makes people take up torches and pitchforks against you. And you can be first, it seems at least, as you can be first these days, or you can be right. Like maybe we should just chill and wait to see how this plays out a little bit before we form an opinion. But the dopamine hit that we get, and this is science, like actual science, not like the guy that's on trial right now for saying that he was science, but actual science is when you log in and you see that little bubble with the little number on it over the little bell on your Facebook or X or whatever, and you've gotten some response from whatever you said or somebody has engaged with you, there is a dopamine release in your brain and you feel good. So the thing to do is watch something happen and say the wildest thing possible about it. And there's so many people out there that don't even care if the thing is, like, the truth doesn't matter because the dopamine hit is more important. And you're going to get it either way.
Well, you're talking about our friend Candace Owen just saying the wildest, silliest, goofiest things that
right.
She's no. Let me get this right. She claims Charlie Kirk was a time traveler or an alien.
Yeah.
Our friends chasing the clicks because it's once you get that first click, now you have to one up it. You have to keep the story going.
Well, it's the same reason people get hooked on meth or cocaine. When you do it the first time, you get this huge dopamine rush and you feel fantastic. But the next time,
You got to do a little
the
more.
same amount is not enough. You got to keep it going. So you got the Candace Owens of the world out there who is like, this guy's wife murdered him with Israel and all this other, the Egyptian airplane and whatever. And like, dropping the bombshell next time.
Yep.
Right? That's the thing. I got this
Keep you
information
hooked.
for next time. What do I got to watch next time. And she's like, they're going to watch next time. Okay. Holy smoke, which I guess is the goal of having a podcast, right? Is to get people to watch next time.
We got to start saying crazy things.
I know, right? Just rolling stuff out. We did an episode about this. Me and Drew, way back, like episode 4 or 5, I guess. Pretty early. The title of the episode was "You're Never Going to Believe This," right? And it was just about the insane things that people say. But that was almost 8 years ago now. So we're rehashing this. There's new hot takes and new stupid things people are doing. But it's the Candace Owens of the world just roll out insanity for the sake of engagement and the notification when they log back in. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But that's a struggle, right? That I've always had as a podcaster, because it would be easy to sit down and cue the mic and go, lizard people, or it's the Jews, or it's the whatever, aliens are coming down and taking over and mind control, and the CIA, and wait a minute, I'm getting into some. Anyway, so I could just say insane things and have an audience, right? But I don't want to be that guy. Like I want to bring value, and we've lost the value of an opinion, of a reach, of an audience. There are, sadly enough, there are pastors that do this too. They'll roll some topic out, and it's just a shock value thing. Yeah.
Churches roll out sermon series based on cultural events.
Not
and
good
topics.
ones. Not good ones.
Oh. Yeah. What in the world?
Some of them do, and I don't want to flame the church. Like I don't. It drives me crazy. But at the same time, like it's in the church too, and that's why I bring it up. But so it's not just social media, but it all ends up there these days. It seems one way or another. Everything we do in terms of this hot take or being first on a subject like that is to get engagement, to start this conversation. And it's easier to start a conversation if the statement is devoid of facts. Like getting on X and going, LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. Now, no sane person thinks that. But to say it like that, instead of saying, do you think LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan? Or
we can open that up to debate. There's
right
topics there.
Right.
But the just flagrant statement is kind of the hot take there.
Yeah. Well, just a lie. They'll post who was it I saw? I saw somebody in a picture the other day. Doggone it. It might have been, it was an athlete. And I forget who the athlete was, but the statement was, for the sake of this discussion, we'll say it was Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is the greatest two-way athlete of all time, a two-sport athlete of all time. But the picture was Bo Jackson. Right? So you're like, so what happens? Well, the comments are all going, well, that's Bo Jackson's in the picture. Or Bo Jackson was the greatest two-sport athlete of all time. So you've got an argument going two different ways now. And the guy that made the post doesn't care if you're calling him an idiot for posting a picture of Bo Jackson with a statement about Deion Sanders. Like, he just doesn't care because you're engaging with this post. So the hot take does not correlate to the correct take. Like, it's not the same. It's not always the same thing. It'd be great if it was. Roll out your hot take. Be correct.
And, there are some hot takes that take time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, you start.
They
to
should.
See, you can make this bombastic statement, and maybe it's true. Give it a couple of years, let marinate on it before we are convinced. I mean, a great one was Tom Brady's a franchise quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a system guy.
He's a system guy.
Yeah.
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 Turns out he's most likely going to go down in history as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Of all time. Well, and you can say he's a system guy, right, from a sports standpoint. He's a system guy, and he threw for all those touchdowns and all those yards because of Bill Belichick's system.
But then he went to Tampa Bay.
And won it again. So we were wrong about Tom Brady, drafted in the 7th round and seemed like a slightly better than mediocre quarterback, at the University of Michigan. But we spout off about so many things. And I don't know that was even an uninformed take initially. Nobody thought Tom Brady was going to be an NFL superstar. Certainly not a generational talent, all-time great, He was just some dude that was pretty good and got drafted, whatever. But I don't know. We look at a guy like that, and maybe that's not like I was saying. Maybe that's not a hot take because we just didn't know any better. But once he got really good, and we're going, well, he's a system quarterback. Well, then turns out that wasn't right either, and we should have waited until he went and played for the other team and proved that he was not a system quarterback because he won another flipping Super Bowl. People hate that guy, but man, he could play. He could throw the football. He could get it done.
Here's another good one for you. In 2008, I believe, it was said from all of our friends of technology that the iPhone will never succeed.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to carry an iPhone around. Who wants a screen?
Steve Ballmer, the Microsoft CEO.
Yeah.
Said that iPhones were never going to take off.
I'm willing to bet 90% of our audience has an iPhone that they're watching on right now.
I'm sure the vast majority of the people who listen to the audio edition of this show do it on iPhones. I can see that. I see where people listen, and they're on iPhones. 90% of them.
Yeah. Shocker.
Yeah, right. It's never going to last.
But, I mean, that was one of those hot takes of no, technology's not going to go that way.
Yeah.
Turns out Apple ran the whole market on it.
Yeah.
Now you look at Google and Samsung, and they're all doing the same thing. Apple did, and I hate to admit this as like an Android fanboy, but we have surpassed Apple at this point. However, we had to get up to their standards. I mean, I look at the user interface of my Pixel is almost identical to an Apple.
Well, now it is, but I mean, it was playing catch up for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially with that camera.
Holy moly, yeah.
But, the hot take was, this is never going to take off. The internet was a fad, right?
Yeah!
Internet's never going to go anywhere. It's a fad.
Man.
I remember people saying that in, I don't know, when did we have the internet? I graduated high school in 97, and there were some people who had the internet. Some of our well-to-do, like we had a computer at school that had the internet, and they were like, stay in those books because the internet's never going anywhere. Like, okay.
Oh, there's the hot take. There's two of them I hear right there that you just talked about. One of them is, you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Oh, yeah. Take that, teaching lady.
Suck it.
It's there. It's with us all the time now. All the time. What happens when the power goes out? Well, I got this solar charger that I plug it into.
My phone can last 3 days. I can charge it in my truck.
Yeah. You've always got a calculator, as it turns out. Teaching ladies should have waited to find out, I guess.
I think they were just pushing big book.
Yeah.
Big propaganda, but that's a different hot take.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants to take care of their thing. The Microsoft guy said that, and maybe he really thought that, but at the end of the day, he needed it to be true.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he still needed people to need Microsoft and what they were doing at the time, which was not a smartphone. So I'm going to consciously, subconsciously cast this shadow over this thing that I don't think is going to work out, and I really just hope it doesn't work out because it's bad for me.
So going back to your previous statement, here's another one you just said. You graduated in 97.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet you started hearing rumbles and rumors about Y2K. It's going to be the end of all technology. It's doomed.
My first grown-up job I started piddling around with some part-time stuff here and there over the next 2 years. And then in September of 99, I got a job at one of our local hospitals. And they were in the middle of testing every piece of electronics in the entire hospital to make sure that, and if you're, man, some of you folks are young enough that you don't remember Y2K, but the fear was that when we went from 99 to 2000 at midnight on December 31st, 1999, when the number rolled back over to 0, the computer was going to think that it had not been invented yet and shut itself down. And, you know, if you think about it, if you believe that's true, you understand that means that your airplane's going to fall out of the sky and the red lights are not going to work and all the big buildings in the big towns are just going to go dark and there's going to be chaos in the street. And we were at a church thing way out in the sticks, these people's house, and we're watching the countdown to New Year's, right? And I felt pretty good about it. Like I was, 20 years old. I just turned 20 years old. And I was 20 years old, 21. Either way, I'm right in that ballpark. But I'm watching the TV, right? And it's when it starts counting down, Dick Clark's on there, and he's like, 10, 9. And I was like, oh, well, holy smokes. I mean, we're about to find out, and it counted down, and we got to midnight. And I was like, okay, lights are still on, TV's still going, cable's still running, car still cranked, got to the first red light and it was working. Like, okay, somebody go turn the water on and make sure that's working. But the hot take was the thing, and I remember as early as what must have been like 1993, there were commercials about it on TV and like news segments and like early on. What? The Y2K bug, we got to get ready for this thing. May have been as close as 95, but like several years ahead.
What?
It was I remember 11 Alive in Atlanta ran a segment about it one night, and they advertised for it like 2 weeks ahead of time. We got this Y2K thing we're going to talk about. Oh, gosh. Terrifying. But it's a hot take. And what did we do? We watched the 11 o'clock news that night. We all stayed up and we're tired because we watched the news and got to find out about this Y2K bug. Are they going to shut down school the next day? Like, what happens? Holy smokes. They mostly, like, at that age, I'm like, man, I hope they play those New Year's Day football games. That's my biggest concern.
Those don't run on ones and zeros.
You gotta, yeah. You have to have electricity for those, at least for us to be able to watch them. But that might have been the biggest hot take of all time. That was huge. It's going to shut down. The world's going to end. Well, not immediately. We'll all starve to death and or kill each other first. But
here we are, 26, going on 27 years
almost
later.
27 years later, yeah. Yeah. Wild stuff. And
Who's the guy who created the Y2K like bug? Who created this hot take of like?
I don't know.
Who put it out there?
I don't know.
I want to meet this guy because this guy was absolutely nuts.
I mean, maybe, probably, yeah, but I don't know. We don't know who he was, and I don't think I've ever heard a name associated with it. It was probably like a Harvard study or something, and I don't mean to flame Harvard, but like it was probably some university study. Some think tank that just thought, well, what if the computer thinks that it hasn't been invented yet? But then people developed a way to get attention from it. And I know, holy smokes, I had a friend who was allowed, and I was allowed a couple of times, to go to this friend's grandparents' house and go grocery shopping. Because these grandparents were really afraid of Y2K. And they stocked up. They bought like a shipping container and parked it out in their backyard and filled it up with food and all sorts of things. And this stuff was going to pile up, and they were never going to, some of it was going to go bad, and they were never going to be able to eat it or whatever. And so they just invited a couple of us over to like just pick through and grab some things that were just going to go to waste otherwise. But there were a bunch of folks, these not even like doomsday prepper types, but just grandmas, the same folks that always fall for the scam, that just bought, they got Cokes on sale at Sam's Club out there, so I'm going to go get a pallet load Whatever. Never want to run out of Coke again. And they drank those Cokes for the next 7 years, just because they were afraid that that's what was going to happen. They won't be able to make Coca-Cola anymore. What are we going to do? Better stock up now.
All right. Finished doing some research. Turns out it was, the news media apparatus.
What? Stop. No
Shocker.
way.
They created the panic.
Yeah. So
I was like 5 when
Yeah.
Y2K happened. So
that was one of those things, man. It was probably what made me realize what being an adult was. Because I was around for like the tail end of the Cold War. I never did a nuclear bomb drill, but I had friends that went to other schools that did, where they were like, "Oh, nuclear bomb, get under your desk. That'll save you."
what?
But yeah, so that was a thing. Like my parents did it. Like it was a thing they had to do back in like the 50s and 60s. They would go, well, in case there's a nuclear bomb, let's have a plan. You all get under your desk and like put a book over your head like a tornado drill or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do when the nuke falls, when the Russians nuke us.
Well, New York was running this as early as like last year still.
Yeah.
Like
Same stuff.
right before, I think it was 2025 when they
Yeah.
were running that story in New York. Here, be prepared. This is what to do in case Russia launches a nuke at us.
Yeah.
There is nothing saving you. Sorry.
No, not from a nuke, but it's the hysteria, right? But that was that. So I lived through that. And then there was Y2K. And I kind of came to the realization there was always going to be something.
Man,
Like,
legacy
there's
news
always
media sucks at their jobs.
Oh, dude.
No, they love it.
Yeah, they do.
They're
They do.
chasing it constantly, man.
Well, you look at COVID, which was just another thing that we had to live through, and the stuff that was coming out early on.
Double mask, don't double mask, 6 feet, not 6 feet. Don't go outdoors. Go indoors. Stay
I
apart.
remember, double check me on this because I want to know. Somebody was telling me at one point, COVID can live for 12 days on wet metal. Right? And I was like, where does metal stay wet for 12 days that anybody touches? Like, I don't know. That's same guy was in charge, that we're talking about. I think we mentioned him in our last episode. God bless
The guy who botched the AIDS crisis.
Same
too.
Same guy. Yeah, we survived AIDS, as it turns out. I never got it because it's pretty easy to not get. But yeah, just the hot takes, man. I remember billboards during the AIDS epidemic. There were billboards out there that were like, be careful, don't let them sneeze on you or whatever. Just wild stuff. But engagement, things that were said to drive engagement, and the wild stuff that people said about COVID. And again, with like you said, with the masks and not the masks, and 6 feet or 12 feet or never leave your house again. What you got?
No, that was a real thing. That was a real claim that was made.
Yeah. Was it true though?
No,
Yeah,
it
right?
is not true by any means. At best, it surfaces like stainless steel
Yeah.
in a kept laboratory.
Like in a vacuum.
Like in a vacuum in
Yeah.
a laboratory for 3 days. That's the max.
Yeah. Well, the guy that said that was a fellow teacher, and his expertise was not microbiology or virology or anything else. And I'm not trying to make the appeal to authority on that, but like he didn't know. Like he just didn't know. He heard that and it scared him, and he wanted everybody else to be scared too. Like, no thanks, man. There's so many things to be scared of. Like there's always something going on. I don't need your hot take to terrify me, but Russia has been the repeated hot take over the years. Like you said, they were talking about it up until last year. The Russians are going to bomb us. Trump's going to make the Russians bomb us.
I think it's moved on to the Iranians now.
It's the Iranians now. And if the Iranians could, they would have by now. They can't. That's my hot take. They can't. They don't have nuclear weapons. They won't have them in 2 weeks either.
Ah, man, was George Bush wrong? He was doing it for the love of the game.
Just out there bombing for the old man or whatever. Yeah, it's easier to do things that way. It's just easier. If you're the media, it's just easier. It's easier to drive engagement if you just say insane things.
Over
And
sensationalization.
yeah, and when was the last time? Comment on this if you're watching or listening. The last time you saw or heard a retraction offered by any media outlet anywhere ever. Somebody that had to come back and say, well, we said a thing the other night and it wasn't true, so we had to fix it. It just doesn't happen.
I believe that was in Congress and he pled the fifth.
Oh, bada bing. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? I just won't ever bring it up again, and then I'll just flood the zone with more information, air quotes or whatever. Instead of them lingering on this thing that I got wrong, I'll just feed them 10 new things. And you can see this if you look at, just pick out your favorite news outlet and your favorite social media platform, and you look at them on there and you just scroll, and they make a post every 30 seconds, every 2 minutes, every minute and a half, all day long, 24 hours a day.
Fun fact, Tango's favorite news outlet is CNN, and Blue Sky is my social media of choice.
Oh, yeah? I don't believe you.
They're the greats. They're great. They're huge.
Oh,
They're the
gosh.
best.
They're the best. Nobody like them. I saw them and I said, there's nobody like them. But
Those are the best to go to and be able to laugh at some of these hot takes and crazy people.
Oh, man, they're funny. And I used to think it was a good idea. Like, I would see Fox and I would see CNN, and one of them would say, Trump walks on water, and the other one would say, Donald Trump can't swim. So I thought, well, I'll look at Al Jazeera or the BBC or, some overseas news network talking about America and see what they have to say. They're just as insane too.
Well, we learned that during the World Cup. Turns out the rest of the world has been saying America sucks.
Yeah, but they love Buc-ee's.
And then they got here and they're like, there's a gas station dedicated to a beaver and it's pretty great.
Yeah, they'll sell you like ribeyes and stuff in there. I don't know.
I can go watch UFC and eat waffles at the Waffle House.
Mm-hmm. And then do UFC after that. We can have an MMA fight in the Waffle House, as it turns out. But yeah, but that was what they were told. Yeah. They were told about this America that
hot take, America sucks.
Yeah,
that's what they were given.
They're all cowboys, and everybody's just shooting guns in the air all the time, and they wear deodorant. It's terrible, and that's not. Even the French are wearing deodorant these days. God bless them. But that's what they heard. And I mean, if you're listening, you're thinking about all the things that you've heard, and we're scratching the surface on several of these things, but you've heard a million of them. I mean, it may be, something local, something your buddy said that's completely irrelevant to anybody else's life, but you remember a thing that stands out that somebody said in a moment that was just quick, that just rolled out. Oh, it must be X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't mean much now, but you remember it. It sticks with you. Whereas, I don't know, hopefully you remember at least the same number of things that were accurate. And then you think about the difference in those two things, and it was probably just a little bit of time where somebody waited and dug a little more, turned out you got a little more information, or they saw the wide angle lens shot of what looked like a guy throwing a rock, and then it turns out the guy was trying to defend against the rock from being thrown at him. So be careful with the hot takes. Be careful with your hot takes that you offer or that you consume. Hopefully you're consuming them first before you try to offer them, and if you get enough of them, then maybe you can squeeze the truth out of that. But holy smokes, man. The world's crazy enough without having to make up stuff to drive engagement. Like, the best country music, rap for that matter, came from a guy looking out his window and talking about what he saw outside. So just do it that way. Go out there and talk to your neighbors. They're not so weird. Maybe they are, but be nice and save your hot take. As a podcaster, I'm going to try to say this delicately. I'll make myself the subject. What I have to say is not that important, right? It's just not. And if you disagree with it and you never watch me again, then God bless you. That's okay. I understand. But I try to offer something of value and not just shoot off a bunch of hot takes. We say some things here, sometimes like men can't be women and play in women's basketball leagues, or abortion is murder, or all sorts of things. But it's stuff that we've dug into and really looked at and tried to gather as much facts as we could before we just spout something off. And if we get something wrong, let us know. Say something in the comments. I'm okay with that kind of feedback. Might or might not read it. Almost definitely won't respond. I'll read them. I see them all. But, careful with your hot takes. That's it. Whether it's in the news media or something your pastor says, by all means, double check your pastor. As a pastor myself, I have always encouraged that, man. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. So take that attitude with you when you listen to the news or read it or wherever you get it. But that's where we're going to jump off. 40 minutes and 4 seconds. Anyway, thank you guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you. It means the world that even a handful of you guys listen. It's more than a handful, and we appreciate that too. But grateful for each and every one of you. God bless you guys. We love you. See you next time.